Second to last video of the senior project 2022 Pokemon Legends Arceus. So, Pokemon Legends Arceus, by far my favorite Pokemon game. I think I mentioned in my Omega Ruby video that Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were my favorite Pokemon. Oh wait, no, I played Alpha Sapphire for this. I mentioned in my Alpha Sapphire video that Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were my favorite Pokemon games until a later entry came out and knocked that title out. This is that later entry. I really like Pokemon Legends Arceus. I like basically everything about it. I will say the first playthrough was a lot better than the second. I think I'll definitely do a third playthrough eventually, but I think I want to wait quite a long time. But who knows? Like Smash Ultimate, I don't want to discuss Legends Arceus too much because I could really go on for too long for the type of format these videos or the Senior Project videos are made in. Just because I really like it as a game, and I want to go more in depth on it in a later video. Possibly after the next Legends game comes out. Who knows? That wouldn't really synergize with my goal of waiting a while before playthrough 3, but whatever. Like I said, like basically everything about this game. I mean, the graphics were a point of contention when it came out, but I feel like people who whine about Pokemon graphics are really just not seeing the forest for the trees, quite literally. Because, like, Pokemon has never been known for its graphics. It started out on the Game Boy, of course, which, let's be honest, no Game Boy game really looks good. And even for the Game Boy, it didn't exactly look exceptional. It's fine. That's not what they're going for. People need to understand that Pokemon games just don't look good, and that's fine. They don't need to look good. They just need to be fun, and this game's really fun. I don't care what Versalify says. That guy's an idiot. It's... People were expecting it to be a lot more open world before it came out, but judging by how people reacted to Scarlet and Violet's open world, maybe it's for the better that it wasn't too open world. Yeah, I feel like I'm just saying negatives, but that's more because I can't really explain what I like about this game without just saying everything. The battle system is good, the strong style, agile style with, like, the very different turn order is very interesting. I will say I kind of wish it had more trainer battles, because you can go through a playthrough of Legends Arceus and, like, barely battle anything. Because you can just kind of catch all the wild Pokemon. I mean, I didn't battle a ton of wild Pokemon, but the game kind of encourages catching a bunch of duplicate Pokemon. I like this game enough that I have full, like, level 10 dex entry on all my stuff on my main profile. Obviously did not do that there. I was sort of considering doing the main goal of the game of seeking out all Pokemon, catching all the Pokemon, and then fighting Arceus. But I decided not to do that. Partially because at this point I knew I was running out of time for this before graduation, which is tomorrow. And just partially because I didn't want to, mainly because of Spiritomb. Because how Spiritomb works, great with Spiritomb's lore, right? So Spiritomb is 108 spirits all contained within the Keystone, the Odd Keystone. But the 108 Spirit Collectathon, kinda cringe. Kinda don't love that. I didn't want to do it. Alongside a few other Pokemon that are kind of annoying to get, like, weirdly, a lot of the baby Pokemon are hard to get, because they didn't... I feel like Pokemon Company didn't really know what to do with baby Pokemon before Scarlet and Violet, and there's no breeding in Legends Arceus, so you gotta put them in the wild somewhere, so just put Pichu where Pikachu spawns. Pikachu's already a rarer spawn, make Pichu even rarer than that. I got a Pichu, but I want to get everything else. And, you know, that's fine. A lot of what I think is good about Pokemon as a whole is that you can really play the games however you want to. And I played my first 2 playthroughs of Legend Arceus very differently. I weirdly, like, rushed through the game. Well, I don't want to say rushed through. It still took me, like, 2 weeks to beat, which I play games very slowly. So for me, that was kind of rushed through. That being said, I just beat like Scarlet and Violet in less time than that. I don't know. It just felt like I was rushing through Legends Arceus a lot more. I think it's because I might have had less actual time to play over the course of those 2 weeks as I did for Scarlet Violet. Um, but whatever. It's fine. Um, I can't remember how long it took me to beat the game. I will check because I'm gonna go and do team review, team roundup, like I did for Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. Woo! But yeah, again, I don't want to say that much about it because I want to make a larger video on it later because I feel like it kind of deserves that. So let's go see the team. All right, let's go. Here's the team. We have D's Nuts, the unknown D. I was thinking like either C or W or exclamation point or question mark, but D is kind of the first one you get. And I wanted to use Unknown on a team because I think Unknown, especially in this game, is pretty neat. Because I like how Hidden Power works. This thing was dead weight the entire playthrough. If you look at its stats here, you can see that I gave it a modest amount of grit items. And it was still entirely useless. As you can see, currently knocked out. But it was cool to use Unknown, and now I never have to do it again. Next is Parkalia. The Palkia have an origin form because it's cooler. Yeah, obviously a late addition to the team. As you can see, this is not my Origin Ball one. I chose to side with Irida because I sided with Adam in my first playthrough, and I want to get both Dialga and Palkia in the Origin Ball. Next up is Baritone, the Alpha Kricketune. This is the story alpha that you fight at the Deer Track Heights to get the Weirdeer ride. This guy was pretty alright. Oh yeah, Palkia carried every fight it was in. This guy was pretty alright. My team was doo-doo this run, I'm gonna be for real. But I mean, he was a pretty good member. Obviously Kricketune becomes pretty outclassed. It's got the lowest base stat total, or the second lowest base stat total of any fully evolved Pokemon, behind Shedinja. And Shedinja only has the lowest because its HP is a 1. So, yeah. Still did better than Unknown. Next up is Ribbons, the Sylveon. This was probably my favorite member of the team, honestly, even beyond my starter. I was originally planning on using some evolution, but only when I actually got started with the playthrough I decided it would be Sylveon, because I think it's cool that you can get Sylveon in this game. Not much more to it than that. Next up is Eclipsa, the Sneasler. I just figured I should use some new Pokemon, at least one new Pokemon from Legends Arceus. I'll go with Sneasler. Because in my first run, I used, I know I used at least one. I think it was just one. Maybe I didn't use any new Pokemon in my first playthrough. I think it was mostly just Hisuian forms, because it was Hisuian Voltorb, Hisuian Decidueye, Rhyperior, whatever. Yeah. I used a Hisuian Sneasler and it was pretty strong. Relatively late in the game, but... And then Fumi, my starter, I went with Cyndaquil because Rowlet's my favorite of the starters in this game, but I chose it my first playthrough, and this guy evolves into a Ghost type, and Ghost is my favorite type, so that's pretty cool. Actually, my starter choice, my first run was actually kind of difficult because all three of the starters in this game are my favorite of their respective generations. Cyndaquil's my favorite Gen 2 starter, Oshawott my favorite Gen 5 starter, and Rowlet's my favorite Gen 7 starter. I chose Rowlet over Cyndaquil my first run, even though Cyndaquil's a Ghost type. I think that's actually the only time that there's been a Ghost type starter, and I haven't chosen it for my first run and as my favorite. Just because I think Hisuian Decidueye looks really freaking cool, and I like Rowlet quite a bit more than Cyndaquil. I honestly think the Johto starter trio is the second weakest starter trio in terms of designs behind Unova. But yeah, that's the team. And then, for the final game, with 77 hours of playtime, still not completed, Baldur's Gate 3. See you next year.